I'm Katie Wells, host of the Maximized Minimalist Podcast. I escaped the hamster wheel of modern-day motherhood, overwhelmed by clutter and buried under the mental load. Now I live in a home that feels calm, manageable, and made for real life. I have margin in my days, energy for who matters most, and time for slow mornings and silly dance parties in the kitchen with my family. With over 5 million listens, the show has helped women around the world turn their homes into their happy place. Around here, we simplify for more peace, more presence, and more joy. We choose grace over guilt and progress over perfection. And we believe your home should give back more than it takes. I'm here to help you do the same. Come along with me and my guests as we share the real stories, habits, and strategies that help you lighten the load from the inside out. Pull up a seat, friend, and let's do this together. Ready, set, simplify. Hey friend, welcome back to another episode. So today we're diving into, I would say, a sneaky kind of clutter that most of us don't talk about enough, but I would argue a lot of us have sitting in our homes, not only physical clutter, but it's creating mental clutter for us too. And that is the guilt we feel when we want to declutter a gift someone gave us, but we just simply don't know how. Maybe it was a gift from your mom or an uncle or aunt or dad or just someone you love. Or maybe it's something sentimental that you somehow inherited or passed down to, but at the end of the day, maybe you don't use it, maybe you don't love it. And so it's just sitting there collecting dust. And like I said, causing mental clutter. And even if you don't love it, don't use it, maybe you wouldn't have chosen it, you keep it because maybe you think, well, it was a gift. Or, well, it has value and donating it to you might just feel wasteful. So if this is sounding familiar, you are not alone. I can't tell you how many times this mental cycle and these thoughts I experienced over the years, and I want to unpack it because what's really happening here in true declutter fashion goes deeper than just the stuff. So a woman I coached once told me about this hand knit scarf her mom gave her during, I think it was a family trip to Vermont. And it was one of those hey, I picked this out just for you gifts. It was bright neon and chunky wool. And while of course she really appreciated the gift, she immediately knew when she opened it, oh my gosh, I will never wear this, And she never wore it, but she kept it. It sat in a drawer. Every time she opened the drawer, she's like, ugh, she felt guilty. She wasn't wearing it. What if I donate it and my mom asked me about it? And the guilt I think a lot of us feel isn't necessarily because of the item itself, but because of the story behind it, right? Her mom was so excited to give her this gift. She thought, oh my gosh, my daughter's going to love this. She's going to wear it all the time. And it's the love that came with the gift, right? So this is what I mean when I often say it's not about the item. It's about who gave it to us, right? The story, the hopes, their intention, their expectations, the right emotions, because we're not AI, we're humans. And then this guilt that we almost silently absorb through this process. And this is why I often ask this one powerful question. If you are multitasking, come back to me. That question, I want you to ask yourself next time you open that drawer and see that chunky bright neon scarf or your version of it. If I were free from guilt, would I still keep this? Oh my gosh. You know how often I still use this one. I use this all the time. If the answer is no, there's your clarity. And why is clarity important? Because without it, we are lost. We don't know what to do. Decision fatigue strikes when we don't ask the right question or we don't have clarity. Remember, in these moments, your mind might go, okay, well, no, I wouldn't keep this, but I love my mom. But what are they going to think of me? You are not rejecting the person when you donate something they gave you. You're just being honest about what actually serves you right now. And that brings us to kind of the heart of today's episode, the word we often throw around, especially with gifts, I think, and that is value. Value, value, value. You've probably thought it or said it. Hey, you know what? I don't wear this scarf. I don't like this painting. I don't want this thing that was gifted to me, but it has value. So another woman shared that her sister gave her some framed artwork. The frame was beautiful, in my opinion. It was ornate and it came from a vintage shop. So I love vintage. So when she showed it to me on Zoom, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. But to her, she was like, oh, I do not like this at all. clashed with her home and style, right? We all have different preferences. I get it. But to me, I was like, oh, I love it. But she didn't love it. She didn't want to hang it. And when she mentioned maybe passing it on, she decided to have that conversation with her sister. Her sister said, well, if you don't want it, I'll resell it because it's probably worth something. So now she was like, oh, I feel even more stuck. Like to her, it was too valuable to donate, right? But it was also too awkward to give it back to her sister for her sister to resell. And she also felt guilty to let it go. So when we are in this position, when we just don't know, 100% of the time, what happens? We don't do anything. We don't take action because we're lost, we're confused, and the item just sits there. And again, it's less about the physical space these items are taking up. It's more about the mental clutter they are causing you every time you walk past, every time you open that drawer and see it. What should I do with it? The guilt. This is valuable. It's more mental clutter on your plate. We don't have the bandwidth for this, y'all, right? It's just weighing you down. And this is the trap. We confuse potential monetary worth with personal relevance. But true value is about what an item does for you right now, right? Again, we're not talking about monetary value, which is how we typically throw that word around. That has value, so I don't want to donate it. That has value, I might use it one day, right? We use like value as like the scapegoat to keep things and cling to our clutter. But true value is about what an item does for you right now. Does it serve your lifestyle? Maybe it served your lifestyle 6 months ago, but maybe it doesn't right now. Does it reflect who you are? Does it bring you peace, purpose, joy? If not, then it's not adding value. It's taking value away. There is no riding the wave of neutrality when it comes to stuff. So another mom I worked with had this big, beautiful serving dish that she inherited from her aunt, and she never used it. So we're working through decluttering her kitchen, and she pulls it out. And she's like, I don't ever host big dinners. She never used it once. She'd had it for like 25 years. But like a lot of us, she said, Katie, what if I host Thanksgiving someday? But deep down, we talked about it. Right? Conversations, things come up. It's so interesting. And she was like, I actually don't want to host Thanksgiving. And if I ever did, would I even remember I had this? Probably not. It wasn't her season. It wasn't her thing to host, which I totally relate with. I am not the hostess with the mostest. You come over to my house for a party, probably doing paper plates. Love you. And that's why I want to do paper plates, because I don't want to stress over being the hostess with the mostest, okay? We all have our thing. That's fine. If you want to keep the big serving dish and you use it, keep it. But she was keeping it. She was assigning the value to it, right? She was keeping it also because of this what if version of herself she didn't actually want to be. So not only was this like gift clutter, but also it was like aspirational clutter. This is why clutter can be so many different types. It's not so linear and it's not so cut and dry. And this is also why we need different methods and different strategies and mantras and mindset shifts and different questions that we can pull out of our declutter toolbox, so to speak, when we're tackling this clutter. It's not just like ask this one question. It's not one size fits all, right? Just getting to the heart of it, the root of it is so important. And we can absolutely do that. And I'm telling you, when she finally just made that call for herself, she felt so empowered. I didn't tell her you really should let that go because what a silly thing to keep. I never tell my clients ever. They'll be like, hey, should I keep this? I will guide them. I will give them a flashlight to use in the dark to create their own path. You have to make the call for yourself. And when you do, oh my gosh, she felt so confident. And I'm telling you, so liberated. And I love that. It's like seeing a spark in someone. They're like, oh, yes, she gave herself permission to let go of this big serving dish. And in that moment, because stuff is so symbolic sometimes, right? She also gave herself permission to just be happy with the version of herself as she is right now, not as some chef, cook, hostess with the mostest that she knew she just ultimately didn't want to be to begin with. But because of the messages culture sends us, she was like, well, I guess I'm supposed to be this person, right? This is just such a classic example of the meaning we assign things and how we also have the power to shift that meaning, declutter the thing. And that by nature shifts the beliefs, which is so liberating. Oh my gosh, it's just freedom that comes from that is just literally gets me so excited. This is the power of releasing that guilt and redefining what value means to you. And it's not to say you can't sell some of these things. You decide, is it worth my time and energy to sell this thing if it has potential monetary value? But we also have to be realistic about what monetary value looks like. Just because something costs $50 doesn't mean you can sell it for $50, right? But there's so many different psychological effects that basically cause us to overvalue what we own simply because we own it. This is called the endowment effect, right? There are so many interesting studies on this. In fact, I'm going to do another episode on that soon because it's just something that we have to pay attention to, right? We have to work with our brains to help us simplify and declutter and, pay attention to this stuff. So let's wrap with one of my favorite reminders. Keeping something just because it might be useful someday is often more wasteful than letting it go today to someone who actually wants it and needs it. There's someone out there, girl, who wants that platter you have has a quarter-inch of dust on it, right? It's above your fridge. Get it down, wipe it off, put it on Facebook Marketplace or sell it. You're not being wasteful by donating something that isn't useful or meaningful to you. And I will also say this. Just because something wasn't clutter 6 months ago or even 6 weeks ago doesn't mean it's not clutter now. Just like our seasons in life change. And sometime if you are in the thick of it, like early motherhood, like me, you've got young kids, your needs change as they grow up. Your lifestyle changes as they grow up. And maybe you are well outside of motherhood or motherhood to you is fur babies. Regardless, your interests change, your hobbies change, your lifestyle changes. Maybe your physical location changes. You move from the East Coast to the West Coast. You don't need winter boots anymore if you're living in California, right? Just because you bought something doesn't mean you need to keep it forever. And I'm not saying your home should be a revolving door of stuff and to not pay attention to your shopping habits and all these different things. But when you are letting go of something that isn't adding value, you aren't being wasteful, you're being wise. You're reclaiming your space, your peace, your energy. That's the whole reason we're here. Yes, your home will be easier to tidy, a huge, huge benefit of simplifying, right? But it's also about the time that you gain back. You're trusting that your home isn't a storage unit for junk, for clutter, for guilt, for maybes, or family expectations. It's a reflection of your value, not someone else's. All right, friend, if this hits home, I want you to know you don't have to do this alone. Girl, how many episodes have we done? Over 300? I'm at 317. Is that what this number is? You don't have to do this alone. And I know a lot of you come back week after week. You listen to it in the car, on your walks, hanging out with your kiddos. Hi to all the kiddos listening. You don't have to do this alone. Inside my Clutter Cure Club, we walk through these emotional layers together. We don't just declutter the stuff, we unpack the stories behind it. Why? Because if you want long-term sustainable change, you got to get to the heart of it. And it doesn't mean extensive hours of talk therapy. Just join us in the club and we can make very quick progress together and create new empowering beliefs in their place, right? You can learn more. Join us at the link in the show notes. You know what to do, friend. We are almost done with summer, and I seriously don't know how that happened. We're heading into August. So in the meantime, ready, set, simplify. Go find your version of that bright neon chunky wool scarf. That is your challenge as we head out today. And I'll see you next week, friend. Okay, bye.